This video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you had to choose one lens, what would it be? The GH7 is a powerhouse of a camera and you need a lens that's gonna match. Now I've used plenty of cameras for like the GH7, GH6, GH5, including prime lenses, zoom lenses, but if I had to choose one lens, it would definitely be this one. Here's why I feel like the Panasonic Leica 25 to 50 millimeter f1.7 is the only lens that you need for the GH7. First of all, it's just the speed of the lens at f1.7. Now, on a micro four thirds camera like the GH7, you're not gonna get speeds like that on a lens unless you're using prime lenses. So it's very uncommon, maybe some Olympus lenses, but it's very uncommon to find a lens at f1.7 that's a zoom lens for the micro four thirds system. So the speed of the lens at f1.7, which would be about a 3.4 equivalent on a full frame, that is pretty fast for a zoom lens on a camera like the GH7. So having that f1.7 on a lens like this through all the focal ranges, so 25 all the way to 50, you have that constant f1.7. For video, that's gonna allow a lot of depth of field on your shots, which is just gonna make your shot more dynamic. Now, a lot of times on this lens, I am keeping it around f1.7 and using a variable ND to kind of adjust that exposure when I need it. And I feel like for interviews, the speed is perfect because you don't necessarily wanna totally obliterate the background on interviews. So having that f1.7 on a camera like the GH7, with that micro four thirds sensor, allows for just a nice, pleasing looking background on some of those interviews. Now I made a video with this lens combined with the 10 to 25 f1.7, but if I had to choose one over the other, I would choose the 25 to 50 because of this focal range as well. At 25 millimeter, which would be 50 millimeter equivalent, that's my favorite focal range. So having this lens start there, then reach all the way to 50 millimeter, which would be 100 millimeter full frame equivalent, I feel like is just gonna give you a little bit more reach with a lens compared to the 10 to 25. So for the type of work that I'm doing, I really like the 25 to 50 millimeter focal range on this lens, especially for a lot of, B-roll type shots. So if you're only getting one lens for the GH7, having a 25 to 50 millimeter focal range, you can do a lot with. It's super versatile and it's not too wide that you sometimes get with that 10 to 25 millimeter. Another reason why I would consider the 25 to 50 millimeter f1.7 the way to go when it comes to the GH7, if you can only choose one lens, would just be the sheer size of the lens. You've got a 77 millimeter front thread, but the size of the lens feels good on a camera like the GH7. I feel like with such a beefy camera, you don't necessarily want to have just a tiny lens on the front of it. Now I know that this might be just a little bit controversial of a topic, especially on a micro four thirds camera, which is known for, having smaller lenses. But having a lens like the 25 to 50 millimeter, or in the case of the 10 to 25 millimeter, it just feels fantastic on a beefy camera like the GH7. Not only the size of the lens, but then also the build quality of the lens. You have the clutch for autofocus, manual focus. You have the actual f-stop ring on the front of the lens. But then on top of that, if you're gonna be rigging out this camera, going through the different focal ranges, you don't get any extension when you switch from 25 to 50 millimeter. Now you might have upgraded to the GH7 for your video business. And with owning a video business comes a lot of different parts that we don't always think about. That's where my sponsor Skillshare comes in. And you're gonna need to promote your business, but you might not have the marketing skills or social media skills that you need to make that happen. Skillshare has all that and more with courses for creators made by creators. For me, social media plays a huge role in creating awareness for my business. I'm gonna take a course on social media marketing to learn how to always show up for my potential clients. Personally, I always resonate more with learning from people who speak my creative language, especially when it comes to things like marketing and social media. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. You can learn at your own pace with on-demand classes and stackable lessons. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Hit that link, get started with Skillshare, and start growing your video business. Now, I will say there are a few drawbacks with this lens. First of all, it is not a stabilized lens. You can kind of get past that with the stabilization built into the GH7, especially the electronic stabilization. It would be nice if this lens had some kind of optical image stabilization. That's where I like the 12 to 35 or the 35 to 100 millimeter. You have optical image stabilization, which gives you dual image stabilization combined with the GH7. This lens does not have that, and that's unfortunate. You want to make sure that you're on the latest firmware with these lenses, but the autofocus never misses. Now, the GH7 combined with the 25 to 50 is going to give you a full weather sealed system. So you're not going to have to worry about being out in the elements with a system like this. So this video is just to show you what I would choose if I could only choose one lens for the GH7. Let me know in the comments what lens you would choose if you could only choose one lens for the GH7. I'd love to see what you have, what you would use, and how you would use it. Let me know down in the comments and we get a conversation started down there. But in the meantime, YouTube thinks that you might like this video that's popping up on your screen right here. Make sure you go click on that video, check that out, and I will see you over there.